Hello all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about how to configure GL cross-validation rules. So let me get into the Fusion environment. So we are talking about this topic, how to configure GL cross-validation rules. So before we get into the details, let me just give a little bit background about what are cross-validation rules and what is a business requirement. So cross-validation rules are chart of account specific and they work across all the modules, not just the GL, even though we set up in GL. So these rules help us in what do you call restricting entry of the invalid combinations. So let's assume you have a business requirement. Let me take one business requirement. So my business requirement is only allow cost center 000 for say balance sheet accounts. So that's my requirement. And for all other accounts, maybe your revenue account or expense account, I might use any cost center. But for balance sheet accounts, my requirement is use only cost center 00. So now let's see how we can set up cross-validation rules to meet this business requirement. So there are two steps involved. One is you need to assign something called condition filters, and then we should also assign validation filters. So we need to create a cross-validation rule. Within the cross-validation rules, we need to specify the condition filter and validation filter. Again, cross-validation rules are chart of account specific. If you have multiple chart of accounts, then you need to create these cross-validation rules in separately for all those chart of accounts. So in my current environment, the name of my ledger is Reliance USD ledger, and the name of my chart of accounts is Reliance USD. And we will now try to see how we can create the cross validation rules under Reliance USD chart of accounts. So the task would be manage cross validation rules. So let me get into the Fusion environment. Setup and maintenance, and then search, and then look for manage cross hyphen validation, and look for my chart of accounts Reliance USD ledger. That's the name of my chart of accounts. Search, you don't see any existing cross validation. Now let me create a new cross validation. Okay, this is the name to be given my for my cross validation rules. Probably I'll just give it as a balance sheet cross cost center. So the description would be only cost center 0000 is allowed against balance sheet accounts. Okay. And so this is the condition filters and this is the validation filters. So now let me show you my chart of accounts. So my chart of accounts has four segment: company, cost center, account, and intercompany. And my requirement is to use the cost center 0000 if the national account is a balance sheet account. Now these are all my cost centers within my environment. So my requirement to use only this particular cost center if the national account is a balance sheet account. And these are all my national accounts. So if you see my assets are starting from 0000, it's five zeros. And if you go down, all of these are all my assets and liabilities after assets. So I have my liabilities. Your assets and liabilities are called balance sheet accounts and including the owner's equity as well. So my assets are, sorry, rather my balance sheet accounts are ending at 39999. So that means if I, in a journal entry, if I use a national account of 00000 until any account which ends with 399999, then I should be able to use only cost center 0000. If I use any other cost center, system should throw an appropriate error message. So under condition filter, I should use account. And here you have a lot of operand. So let me use the operand between. if my account is between 000005 zeros and 39999, then validation filter says what should be my cost center. My cost center should be equal to 0000. This one. And I can put an appropriate error message. The appropriate error message, or rather the error message, whatever I mentioned here, is what pops up to the user on the screen when he violates this cross validation. So let me put a meaningful error message. The error message should say, you are allowed to use only, you are allowed to use cost center of 0000 only for balance sheet accounts. Okay. And ensure, and I remember that I need to check the checkbox of enable, and then save, and then done. Okay. Now let me go to GL and try to create a journal entry, and let's see if the cross validation rule, whatever we have entered, gets invoked. Create a journal. I'll say journal to test cross validation rule. Journal to test cross validation. I would say journal batch. Journal batch. Any category should be fine. Okay. Okay. Let me use any company, and purposefully I want to use say probably this one. Okay. And let me use these are all balance sheet account. Okay. So now purposefully using the cost center 0030, that is I'm violating the cross validation. Now let's say what happens if I click on OK. Okay, when you click on OK, you can see a error message pops up. This combination is invalid. You are allowed to use cost center 000 only for balance sheet accounts. So whatever the error message which you have entered there is popping up here. Okay. So, and again, one more important point is this cross validation rule. Let's assume once you went live in your client environment and after certain transactions were entered and you try to create any new cross validation rules, then the newly created cross validation rule will work only on the new code combinations which will be created. If there are already in existing combinations where uh, uh, it's already violating the cross validation rule, then system the cross validation rule will not throw any error message. Rather, the cross validation rule will not work on the existing combinations. So now I have created the cross validation rule just now, right? So now let me pull up some combinations. Say 003 is my company, and okay, so this is the cost center, and yeah. See, this is also already violating the cross validation rule, okay? Because with this balance sheet account, I'm using 0010 instead of 000. And if I click on OK, see, I'll not get any pop-up message because this is a this account code combination already existed in the system. As I mentioned, cross validation rule will work only on the new combinations or the combination which doesn't exist. Now, then how do you uh, handle these kind of situations? So what you need to do is once the cross validation rules are created, you need to run a program called manage. Uh, yeah, manage cross validation rule violations. So when you run this particular program will identify all those existing combinations which are violating the cross validation rules. It will give you an option to disable those combinations. So if required, you can disable those combinations, or you can maybe just review them, and then you decide whether you want to disable or you want to leave them as is. Okay. Now let me show you how you can run this manage cross validation rule violations program. Okay, so you can go to tools and then schedule process and then look for this particular program, manage cross validation rule, manage cross manage cross validation rule violations. You can see the description. This program list and optionally disable account code combination that violates cross validation rules. So when you click on OK, it will ask you to select the chart of accounts. In my case, it's a Reliance USD chart of accounts. Okay. And cross validation, if you want, you can specify all the cross validation rules under that chart of accounts, or you can just specify specific cross validation rule, or you can leave it blank. So I'm just leaving it blank. And what should I want system to do for those uh, code combinations which are violating the cross validation? If I select say yes, system will disable all those combinations. If I say no, system will show those details in the report, but it doesn't disable them. If I say yes and preserve change, so when you go to your account code combination screen, manage account code combination is the task. There is a checkbox called preserve, and if you check that particular checkbox, then what system does is if there are say 100 such code combinations which are violating your cross validation rules, and out of those 100 combinations, if there are 10 combinations for you to check the checkbox for whatever the business reason, check the preserve checkbox. Then when you run this particular process with the last option which is S and preserve change, so that means in that example out of 100, for all those combinations wherein we have checked the checkbox of preserve, the program will not disable them. It will disable only the remaining 90. So the one of the business reasons could be maybe those are the combinations which already existed and they are used in different configurations or different places wherein you do not want them to be touched, and hence you check those checkbox, preserve them, and remaining all will be disabled by this particular program. Now I will not disable, I'll just say no and then submit the program. When I submit the program, now in this case it will show me the list of all those validation sorry combinations which are validate the violating the cross validation rule. Let me wait for this process to be completed. It's running. It's completed. Oops. Why did it complete in warning? Probably, yeah. There are some combinations which are violating the cross validation rules. Oh, cross validation rule name is not valid. Okay, never mind. So probably, yeah. Let me rerun the process. And then this time, let me select the cross validation rule name. I think I have given it a blank, so either I should select all or I should select this. So let me select this one. Disable no. Interesting. I don't know why system has given me an option to leave it blank, and now when I run with blank, it's throwing an error message. Anyways, yeah. Now you can see as far as this cross validation rules are concerned, these are the three combinations which are violating the cross validation rules, and they are still in enabled status because I have specified that I do not want those combinations to be disabled. I just want to review them manually. If I want, now I can manually go then and disable them. But if there are hundreds of such combinations, then using of this particular program makes sense. So the programs will take care of automatically disabling them. Thank you. Thanks for watching my video. For interesting videos on Oracle Fusion Financials, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.